On today's episode, a millionaire daredevil coerces his reticent son into going on a thrilling, pulse-pounding adventure with danger that will require them to go underwater. Ooh, okay, I'm just now realizing I maybe didn't think this episode through all the way. We watched Dark Tide, starring Halle Berry, today on Nothing Movies.
So, I did the Barbenheimer challenge the other night.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So you've seen both of them?
I saw both movies on the same night. Yeah.
Well, how'd you like them?
They're both pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say they're both solid
which
7 out of 10s.
Now, which one did you see first?
Oppenheimer. Which
I feel like most people are doing it that way, yeah.
I feel like you have to do it in that order because it's such a heavy movie with such a serious subject matter that you need to have like the bright sugary thing of Barbie to kind of, put you in a good mood afterwards, kind of cleanse that palate.
And I feel like that's most people's way of approaching it, but what's interesting is you get to the ending of Barbie, and I won't spoil it for anyone because it's still a very popular movie that obviously a lot of people haven't seen yet, but the ending of Barbie is very...
existential?
Extremely existential, and it really delves into the question of like, who are we as people? And that's not what Oppenheimer is about.
Yeah.
So, they're weirdly parallel movies in that sense.
Absolutely. But we did the whole, we went the full 9. We did the wardrobe change between movies.
Oh my God.
So I went in suit and tie for Oppenheimer, and then I switched to something a little more festive for Barbie.
Yeah.
My salmon colored shirt. And yes, when men have pink shirts, it's called salmon.
No,
it's called pink. But probably the highlight was doing the actual wardrobe change itself, because I felt like I was in a spy movie, I rush out of the movie theater, I go to the nearest washroom stall, and then I'm wearing a suit and I'm quickly changing clothes into another outfit. I felt like I was right out of something from Mission Impossible.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing at the fact that you had to somewhat defend your masculinity by claiming your shirt wasn't pink, it was salmon, which is objectively the gayer thing that you could have said in that particular example. It's far more heteronormative just to call it pink. You're getting into shades now.
Oh, okay.
That tells me that you know that pink is more than one color. You played yourself, basically.
Did I? Oh, okay. I don't know. I read that in a fashion magazine once. That like here's a men's pink shirt, but it was labeled salmon.
And you're reading fashion magazines now. This is an eye-opening.
GQ when I'm waiting in line at the barbershop. Yeah.
All right. This is an eye-opening expose into the life of Jameson Rafter's fashion choices.
Is it gay to be aware of clothes and to want to look good?
It's Pride Week, Jameson.
It is Pride Week. Happy Pride, Cass.
Everything's a little gay now, no matter what you do, because we force it to be. You can't escape it.
Yeah.
You're just walking down the street and being a little gay right now, and you know what? That's what we like. That's what we want. That's what we encourage.
Okay, cool.
Great. But you said 7 out of 10 for both. Is there one that do you give like a little bump to?
Over the other? No, not really.
I mean, they're very different movies. They have similarities, weirdly enough, but they are very different.
I enjoyed both movies, but I have some qualms for both movies.
Yeah.
I think you could have easily cut 20 minutes out of Oppenheimer.
20 minutes, if that.
That opening jumped around a hell of a lot. And as much as I really liked just the silliness of Barbie, once Ryan Gosling started singing, and then there was that battle between all the Kens, it was like, the movie's kind of lost the plot here.
All right. Well, that was our recent movie review corner.
It was, yeah. I wanted to bring it up because, like, that's the thing you do now. You do the double feature for Barbenheimer.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I planned to see both movies with different people, and just the schedules didn't work out. So I should have just forgotten my friends and just gone alone. I do kind of want to watch both movies again. I actually want to see Barbie again a lot, because now that I'm kind of aware of where the movie's going, kind of want to watch like the first act again to see if I pick up on some stuff. But pretty good. Well, we spoke about two good movies.
Yeah, so now it's time to talk about a real stinker.
Let's talk about
Dark Tide.
the fact at hand here. Welcome back, however you wish to self-identify, to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made, and decide whether or not they've got a certain something, or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Kaz Lesgard.
And I'm Jameson Rafter.
And today we're talking about the career and filmography of the great Halle Berry by discussing 2012's Dark Tide, a movie that takes its title very seriously, because for about half of the movie, I could not tell what was going on. Very hard to discern faces and shapes, also colors in this movie. It's a movie that aims for realism, and seen as it is a movie...
And natural lighting.
And natural lighting, and seen as it is a movie that takes place partly at night underwater, you can mostly expect how it it turns out.
You want to crank up the brightness for this one.
Now, Jameson, you suggested sort of the theme that led us to this movie.
No,
you just said...
Not really.
Well, you got the ball rolling, because we were speaking in a text, and you said... We were texting, and then you said, do you have any ideas for the next episode? I had an idea, could we possibly do something shark-related, because it was recently Shark Week.
Yeah, that was like, when I texted you that, it was like Shark Week.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It took us a while. We got some
I was on vacation.
You were on vacation, some other stuff happened. It's all right. Yeah, but I thought that was a good idea, because it's sort of a natural segue to getting us into the Halloween season, which is going to be coming up fairly soon for us. Yeah. Shark movies are somewhat horror related. They certainly have been in the past. And just talking about like a shark movie made sense to me at the time, because yes, as you say, we were coming off of Shark Week, and it's also come off of a few recent movies that I have seen recently, where you gave your recent movie review. I'm going to give my recent movie review. 2 recent bits of shark-related media that I watched. Recently, I saw, for all those of you who are paying for the streaming service, Shudder, there's an excellent new documentary called Sharksploitation on that surface that kind of goes through the entire history of shark movies in Hollywood, starting from Jaws and going through all of the other cast-offs and whatnots and straight-to-DVD stuff.
All the Jaws rip-offs.
And for your purposes, Jameson, you will enjoy that there is an interview with the director of Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Yes.
In which he recounts the origin of the famous line from that movie and how it was a bit of an improv from the actor on that day. Yeah.
Right.
We'll meet back here at 8 a.m. Don't be late.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, me too, but, I'm really wired. What do you say I take you home and eat your pussy?
Yeah, they spend maybe 5 minutes on Shark Attack 3 in that movie. So yeah, they really do give reverence to that movie.
Wow, interesting.
But also on the heels of that, you went to see Meg 2: The Trench. Which is pretty dumb. Which is a pretty dumb movie.
Well, what'd you expect?
A pretty dumb sequel to a pretty dumb movie, but I didn't hate it. It's very clearly a Chinese production. And it's weird to see a Chinese production in North American cinemas with Jason Statham, because it's Jason Statham and then an entire supporting cast of famous Chinese actors who we don't recognize but are massive names in China. So I got sharks on the brain currently right now. So I figured, why not? Let's take a look.
Let's indulge this.
And let's see if we can make it fit within the confines of our podcast. So I specifically went looking for shark movies. I got some big names in the cast, and I came up with 2 options. The most standard double choice of all time. People are constantly comparing these 2 actors. It was a real coin flip between Halle Berry and Dolph Lundgren, of course, naturally.
Right. Who we have covered on this show before.
Who we have covered on the show. I've explained my reasoning to you, and I'll explain it to everyone else here on the podcast here. I went through, the Halle Berry films that we could have covered on the show. She really does only have a handful of nothing movies.
Right.
And a ton of them aren't really necessarily available on streaming. Dolph Lundgren, on the other hand...
He practically lives in the streaming stratosphere.
More than half of the movies he has made do not exist.
Yeah.
So we will...
I have to imagine he's on a few Tubi originals.
We will talk about Dolph Lundgren at some point. For the record, he was in a movie called Shark Lake, which is a movie in which Dolph Lundgren fights sharks
At a lake.
that are in a lake.
Gotcha.
Yes. And I somewhat flip-flopped between the two of these because going off of reviews, seemed like people ironically enjoyed the Dolph one a little bit more than Dark Tide.
Which I believe sits at like 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It has one of the rare 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. And you know what? I'm just gonna come out hot take right here. Doesn't deserve a 0. It's not a good movie, but it's not that bad.
I agree. I did not like this movie, but we have seen far worse movies.
Far worse. I thought that this was going to be something nearly unwatchable, and it's mostly just dull.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Let's talk about Halle.
Yeah, let's
About Halle Berry. Once again, we are two white men on the internet, and we are sharing our opinions about a black professional. We are clearly the people who should be talking about this subject matter.
Oh, okay. Well, when you put it like that, like...
Okay. Nope, we're trudging forward.
Okay.
This is the horse we've tied our cart to, and we're moving forward. Anyway, Halle Berry. She began her career doing beauty pageants. She won Miss Ohio USA in 1986.
I can definitely see that.
Of course, naturally. She moved to New York to pursue acting in 1989, where she was briefly homeless for a time.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that about her as well.
Yep. Yeah. She got her first gig. It was a 12-episode TV sitcom called Living Dolls, which was a spin-off of Who's the Boss?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that only lasted one season, though, and then shortly after that, she moved to L.A., and shortly after that, she started doing movies. Now, here's the thing about the early Halle Berry career. We've mentioned a lot of these movies before on other actors' episodes, so a lot of familiar movie titles.
I imagine there's always going to be a little bit of overlap when we cover the entire career of actors.
Yes.
And, the odds are that they're going to be collaborating together here and there.
You are correct, yes.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd mention it, just because some of these titles will sound familiar to you. So her big breakout year is in 1991. She has 3 movies. By all accounts, a phenomenal debut year for any actor who could be count themselves lucky to get 3 roles like this. Her first role is in the Spike Lee film Jungle Fever, which, if you remember, we discussed on the Samuel L. Jackson episode. She plays Samuel L. Jackson's junkie girlfriend in that. That got her some great notices. It got her some great reviews. It, by all accounts, was an excellent debut film. Later that year, she also got her first co-lead. Her second film in, she's the co-lead of a movie. It's the romantic comedy Strictly Business that Samuel L. Jackson also has a small role in.
Right.
So she's doing 2 roles with him back to back. And then after that, she's in a movie that I have invoked on this podcast a handful of times because I just think it's great, The Last Boy Scout, in which you need reminding out there, Damon Wayans deflects the sniper's bullet with a football. Which makes it a perfect movie.
Sold, You
don't need to hear anything more than that, really, yeah. Then after that, in 1992, she's in the Eddie Murphy film Boomerang, which we also mentioned on the Martin Lawrence episode. That's a movie that everyone is in. That came out, that was like Eddie Murphy was like the star above the title, but that's a movie that's just filled with people who are about to be like really famous really soon. Like
it's like an Almost Famous situation.
A little bit, yeah, because Halle Berry's in it, Martin Lawrence is in it, Chris Rock is in it, David Alan Grier. So yeah, just a ton of people who are on their way up. That's like a romantic comedy about a guy who's a bit of a player, and then he meets a woman who kind of plays him, and then he has a bit of like a fractured male ego. That's all your movie needed to be about in 1992, apparently.
Yeah.
I miss it. I miss that era. It would be nice if more movies were just about, like, concepts. 1993, she's in the film Fatherhood, which is two words, implying that this father He's a bit of a hood. This stars Patrick Swayze as a two-bit criminal who just wants his kids back.
Gotcha.
And of course, it is from the director of Dracula 3000. She's also in the college football movie The Program.
Okay.
With James Caan as a coach. Now, I've never seen this movie, but I've always remembered this movie because when I was in high school, we had like a phys ed coach who went on like a little mini tirade one day about this movie because apparently there's a scene in this movie where the football players lay down on like a busy street as part of like some sort of like college initiation thing. And I have this vivid memory of this football coach just walking back and forth and being all like, "Don't watch the movie The Program. This is not things
not
that
accurate,
children should be adhering to." And I just remember all of us were just all like, "Yeah, we have no idea what movie you're talking about.
Yeah.
We've never even heard of this."
It's
a weird memory I have.
I had a similar situation to that. And many years ago when I was at the Vancouver Game Farm, I guess the guys who ran the zoo, they rented out the llamas for the movie Freddy Got Fingered. And so the llama trainers were just like, "What a horrible movie. Don't support that movie for what they did to that llamas." And it's like, we're all in the back of the train and the guy's just like ranting on the microphone. And we're just like, yeah, we really had no intention of seeing that movie anyways. But the fact that the guy at the zoo is really pissed off.
Did they know ahead of time what Tom Green plans to do with the llama? Did they know who Tom Green was when they rented the llamas to him?
They had to, but
Yeah.
I also think they had to rent the llamas. You know, they
Not having seen that movie, what does happen to the llama?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
He probably like gargles his testicles or
Something like
something
that.
like that. Tries to milk it. Something,
Tries to
something,
fuck it. I don't know.
Something along those lines. I'm sure. Canadian treasure, Tom Green. She's also in another film that Samuel Jackson was in his early career, Losing Isaiah. This is a drama where she plays a mother who has to give her daughter up for, her son, because the movie's called Isaiah, gives her baby up for adoption to a white family, and then it becomes a court case where she tries to get the kid back. Sounds depressing. 1994, of course. She's Miss Sharon Stone in The Flintstones.
Yes, yeah.
Movie we've discussed recently, and was the sexual awakening for many people, including young Kaz Lasgard.
And myself.
1996, she is in the pretty good film Executive Decision with Kurt Russell, which is primarily known as the movie where Steven Seagal dies like 5 minutes into it.
Oh, is that the one where he gets sucked through like the airplane engine?
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny out of context.
Awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that scene, Jameson. There's a whole other movie that happens after it.
No way.
Yeah, you can watch it and everything. Halle Berry's in it. There you go.
All right, well, that's going to be a double feature with The Last Boy Scout.
And then she does a good double feature. Honestly.
I'm on a roll.
Good double feature. And then she begins a run of nothing movies, of movies that really don't have any
Significance.
She's in the 1996 film Race the Sun. This is a very high concept 90s movie. 90s movies really leaned into these like high concept plots. She plays the substitute teacher of a Hawaiian high school who inspires a bunch of high school students to build and race a solar powered car for a tournament in Australia. It's a bit of a Mad Libs of a plot. But yeah, it's like an inspiring teacher type story where I watched the trailer for this. She teaches a classroom full of Hawaiian teenagers and also inexplicably Casey Affleck. in this little tournament, and grumpy old James Belushi is along for the ride, I guess, as the shop teacher or something. And at first he's a little curmudgeonly, but then later,
he's got a heart of gold.
Don't you know it? These kids touch his heart in some way. And then shortly after that, she's in the thriller The Rich Man's Wife.
Okay.
Where she plays a rich man's wife.
Gotcha.
And then 1997, she's in B.A.P.S.
Okay.
B.A.P.S.
Okay. What does that stand for?
Black American Princesses.
Okay.
Which is something of a cult film. I will just say the title is stylized as B.A.P.S.
As an acronym, yeah.
if it stands for Black American princesses, that S should be hyphenated. Mm-hmm. So, taking you to court.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is something of a cult film among black audiences. It is about two, for lack of a better term, stereotypical loud black women of the 90s.
Okay.
Who find themselves working for a rich white billionaire because, not for anything creepy, but apparently Halle Berry reminds him of his one true love that he could never be with because she was the help.
I'm sure.
Indeed. Yes. So, this movie sounds totally cool and not problematic at all. And, yeah. B.A.P.S.
B.A.P.S.
People have seen it. People like it. 1998, speaking of problematic comedies, she's in the Warren Beatty film Bulworth.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
About a politician who takes a hit out on himself and then starts speaking the truth. And the truth has something to do with finding his inner black man, because he starts smooching Halle Berry. And then after he starts kissing Halle Berry, he says, "Wait, I want to live."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And hilarity ensues. It's a film that was nominated for Best Screenplay at the Oscars, and yet nowadays is mostly known for that one clip of Warren Beatty rapping in like a political discussion,
like at a debate or something.
It's so hard to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe supposed to be. It's like intentionally hard to watch. It's like intentionally supposed to
make
be
you
cringy.
uncomfortable. Okay.
He's not supposed to be. Good. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen Bulworth. I'm not terribly.
I'm in no hurry to
watch
to
it again.
rewatch it. I didn't much care for it the first time.
Then in 1998, she's also in the musical biopic "Why Do Fools Fall in Love," which is a movie about singer Frankie Lyman, who I guess was a bit of a bigamist, because this is actually a movie about he's dead. And when his will is read, it turns out he actually got himself married to 3 women. And so it's a movie where Halle Berry, Vivica A. Fox, and Layla Rashawn all try to figure out who gets the money and who loved him the best.
Gotcha.
1999. Now here's the significant moment for Halle Berry. Is she's in the TV movie introducing Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge, if you don't know, is the first African-American to be nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards. So she's a pioneering black actress playing a pioneering black actress. This was a big step forward in terms of career for Halle Berry. She won both the Emmy and the Golden Globe for this. It was really kind of the first time since Jungle Fever that she got noticed for her acting. And as you'll see in this next stage of her career, it's kind of where
ups the prestige.
This is where we get Halle Berry movie star.
Right,
now,
yeah.
From this moment on.
Because I feel like she was everywhere in the 2000s.
And we are going to, it's exactly the decade that we're getting into right now, starting in 2000 itself, with a little movie called X-Men.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Now, the weird thing about this franchise is that, like, Halle Berry, I feel, has always been at the front and center of this franchise. Like, in particular, like, these first couple of movies.
Maybe on the posters.
On the posters,
she has very little to do in that trilogy.
She has very little to do until the third movie, really.
Yeah.
And that movie doesn't even serve her very well.
Yeah, no, that series is Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen running the show.
Basically,
yeah.
And then
fuck, like, Halle Berry didn't even know what accent she wanted to use.
Yeah, that was a bit of a problem in that first movie, definitely. They were kind of fluctuating back and forth. I mean, whatever. We've seen that happen recently with Elizabeth Olsen in the Marvel. That still happens. People choose accents, and then the next movie they're all like,
just drop them with no explanation.
That was too much work. I don't want to do that anymore. But she is in X-Men. She asks the age-old question that has baffled philosophers for years. What happens when a toad gets struck by lightning? We still don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. From what I understand, that was the thing that was cut from the script, right? Like, Toad was going to have, like, this running catchphrase or something. Like he would infer, like, all these toad things, you know what happens to a toad when he da-da-da-da-does. He would drop that line multiple times throughout the movie. So she turns the tables on him, but they cut all the lines of him, all the references of
that would make it make sense.
And
yes.
yet the best way to fix that entirely is for her to say, it croaks when it gets struck by lightning.
Yeah. You would think, huh?
Yeah.
That's not too late. We can rewrite that.
What was it? 23 years
23
ago?
years ago? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can definitely... God. We're old, huh?
Yeah,
let's move on from that. 2001, a big year for her for two completely different reasons. She becomes, and still is, to date, the first African-American woman to win Best Actress at the Academy Awards.
Well, she's always going to be the first.
Well, she's always going to be... That is true. We can't take that away from her. That is true. It's just nuts that it hasn't happened again. And there's been, like, every year, you can find one performance that a black actress gives that probably could have been nominated at the very least.
Sure,
it's really kind of nuts that. And there are so many great black actresses, like Viola Davis won supporting actress, but like very easily could have won Best Actress for the exact same role. There's nothing in that role that she won in Fences that necessarily denotes it as a supporting performance, but no, she's never won. Angela Bassett's never won.
That's crazy.
There's a handful of people that really should have gotten this by now. Not taking it away from Halle Berry. I do somewhat feel that Monsters Ball as a legacy is the Halle Berry win. Truly, no one really talks about that movie. No one talks about, like, the plot of that movie. The thing that when they talk about, when they bring it up, is the fact that Halle Berry won the Oscar for it.
And she's topless in a scene.
And she's topless in the scene, which brings me to the next movie.
Swordfish?
Swordfish! So yeah, 2001 was the year where Halle Berry bared her soul and some other things.
Yeah.
Again, much like
Complete
Monsters
opposite
Ball.
ends of the spectrum.
Much like Monsters Ball, that's kind of the only thing everyone remembers about that movie.
Yeah.
Is that her tits are out for like 2 seconds. And it became the scene that was...
Yeah, one ticket for Swordfish and another one for Monsters Ball, please.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer of a double feature right there. But yeah, and then speaking of a bummer, the rest of Halle Berry's career.
Sadly, yeah.
2002, she's trying to capitalize off of her Oscar by going all in on the blockbuster circuit. She is in the James Bond film Die Another Day.
Woof.
Which must have seemed like a good idea on paper.
Sure.
And there definitely was, like, a ton of buzz around Halle Berry in this movie, to the point that from, at least, like, a couple of years after that movie came out, the idea of a spin-off for the Jinx character kept getting thrown around until someone eventually said, yeah, I don't think anyone wants this. One, we've never done that before. We've never spun off a character from James Bond into their own franchise. Two, why would we do it with this movie? Other than the fact that Halle Berry is an Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, was that Bond movie the one that essentially killed the Pierce Brosnan?
That was definitely
franchise?
when Pierce bowed out.
Yeah.
That's
It was either that one or the one with Denise Richards. That just like...
That was the one that was right before.
Okay.
I would say Die Another Day firmly salted the ground on that account. That's the one with the invisible car. That's the one where he wakeboards.
Ah, yes.
That's the one where the villain is a Korean general who literally gets his face replaced with a white man. Yeah. Die Another Day. It's a hell of a movie. Rosamund Pike's debut film. Lots of stuff coming out of there.
And some producer thought, maybe we'll get more of this.
We could definitely get more. People definitely want more
mileage
of this.
out of this, yeah.
2003, she's in X2, X-Men United.
Yep.
The best of the early Bryan Singer X-Men films.
Agreed.
Again, Halle Berry doesn't really have much to do in it. Although the posters will lead you to believe you're watching a different movie, because she's on all those posters front and center. Hugh and Hugh Jackman have the big heads on those posters, and then everyone else is relegated to the background.
Yeah.
Also in 2003, she's in the film Gothica.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Where she plays a psychiatrist who wakes up one day and she's a patient. Ooh, what's happening? 2004, this is where shit really starts going downhill. It's Catwoman time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a particular hand grenade that Halle Berry's career just really couldn't recover from.
I completely forgot that they made a Catwoman movie, and I only was reminded of that when I was just perusing her IMDb.
I mean, weirdly, it's a very significant movie in her filmography. You know?
In that she won a Razzie for it.
And she's one of those people that showed up and collected the
She's
Razzie.
a good sport.
She's a good sport, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Catwoman.
In name only, too.
You just said that you forgot that the movie existed, so I'm guessing you haven't seen it.
No.
I also haven't seen it. It's one of those movies that I hear about all the time on other bad movie podcasts, so it's one of those ones where I'm like, I feel like I've seen it. Never actually sat down and watched the entire thing. Sounds bad.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, the villain in that movie, played by Sharon Stone. So she eventually
she gets her revenge.
She got to go head-to-head with her namesake.
Wonder if she brought that up and like, hey, I played you in the Flintstones.
She must have.
And then Sharon Stone threw a wine glass at her.
Day one.
Glass of wine at
her. Yeah, that's what I would say. 2005, she is in the Oprah Winfrey produced TV movie Their Eyes Were Watching God. She's also second billed in the animated film Robots.
Oh, is she?
Despite the fact that she's in that movie for she has maybe 10 lines. But she's in that. A weird sort of in-between movie for the Ice Age people that I don't think is terribly well remembered. Then 2007, she's in the thriller Perfect Stranger, where she plays a journalist that's trying to trick billionaire Bruce Willis into doing something. She thinks Bruce Willis killed her friend. It's a twisty movie. It's a movie that has a big twist that is really stupid and kind of undermine. I believe it's one of those movies that has like multiple twist endings that you can only see if you buy the DVD.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where like they shot multiple endings and it's all like
and not one of them made sense.
That was how they sold the DVD. It was all like now with 5 bonus endings.
Yeah, see the alternate endings.
That was a thing for a while. And then she's in the drama Things We Lost in the Fire.
Yeah.
And then this is where things like hit like a real bump for Halle because she really can't recover from Catwoman. So from 2008 to 2010, she doesn't make any movies. There's like a 3-year gap with no Halle Berry. And she's not doing TV. She's just kind of like in the wilderness for a while.
Yeah.
And when she comes back, it's not really with anything like big or significant. But
no real fanfare.
She just starts working again. 2010, she's in the film Frankie and Alice, where she plays a woman with multiple personalities. And psychiatrist Stellan Skarsgård's got to help her out. 2011, she is one of many people who are in the ensemble comedy New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I believe she is the nurse who helps Robert De Niro see the New Year's Eve fireworks one last time because he's dying in the hospital. How sad. 2012, she's in Dark Tide, but I would say, from my perspective anyway, she has a little minor comeback because she is in the excellent film Cloud Atlas. Have you seen this?
I've seen Cloud Atlas.
You've seen Cloud Atlas. What's your take on Cloud Atlas?
Oh, it's been a long time since I saw it.
It's a challenging movie.
It's interesting seeing the different time jumps and the different time periods. Is she in the future segment, like the far off future?
She's in all of the thing about that movie. For those of you listening who haven't seen Cloud Atlas and kind of don't know what its concept is, it's 6 parallel stories that all have the same cast. Some of them will have like a recognizable actor in the lead role, and then in the other 5 stories, that actor is playing like
a completely different character.
They're playing like side characters. They're playing characters who aren't important.
Yeah, so what I'm really asking is, she's the central character in the storyline that takes place in the far distant future.
She's in I think the central
where they have like a weird new language.
The central character in that is Tom Hanks, but she's like, I would say like the second most important character in that. She's the central character in like the third one, which is like the 70s espionage one where she's.
Then I don't know. I just remember Tom Hanks' ridiculous Irish accent in that movie.
And she plays like I believe she plays like a Korean doctor at one point. She's got all like this like machinery on her and stuff. I think she plays a white lady at one point. That's the thing about Cloud Atlas that kind of got them in some hot waters, that everyone plays different ethnicities. And it's like, on paper, I understand what they were going for. And because they wanted to be like, like a soul travels, it has like many vessels throughout their life and everything. The problem really came when they had white actors portray Korean actors and the makeup that they made them wear.
Yeah.
That's kind of a step too far. Even though Korean actors are also playing other ethnicities that they aren't in the movie, it was
Everyone's doing the problematic
everyone's doing
thing,
it, but
yeah.
it was very it just didn't work.
Ill-advised.
It's
yeah.
a great. It was a bold idea that just fundamentally did not work. But I really like that movie, and I think Halle Berry is really great in it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very underrated series of performances that she gives in it. And I think that movie just didn't find its audience, and I think if it had...
And it has a bit of a stigma because of the things that you
yes,
just mentioned. Yeah.
absolutely. But I think that if people are looking for an undersung Halle Berry performance...
If people can just switch that part of their brain off where they can be easily offended by something, just put up with that.
Yeah.
And check out Cloud Atlas.
Absolutely. Great. It's immediately back down the tubes for her in 2013 because she is, again, one of many people in the unfortunate movie 43.
Yeah.
I believe her segment is she's on a blind date with Stephen Merchant and they keep daring each other to do more outlandish things. I believe she ends the segment with horrifying plastic surgery. But, no one is well suited by that movie.
No.
But everyone got tricked into doing that, and she was one of the many people.
I mean, the story behind the making of that movie is weirdly fascinating.
It is.
But,
Someone will write a book one day.
Yeah.
Call it Book 43. She's also in The Call.
Yeah.
Which is she's a
She's-
911 operator.
Yeah, and someone's calling her because they were kidnapped.
Yeah, Abigail Breslin gets kidnapped, and she's the only one. She's on the call. So you gotta get her.
Right.
2014 to date, the final time she has played Storm in X-Men Days of Future Past. If you thought she was ill-suited to these movies before, she gets like 2 lines in that movie. She really has nothing to do in that film.
Easiest paycheck she's ever had.
Quite easy. 2014, 2015, she actually goes to TV. She's in the sci-fi TV show Extant, which actually lasted 2 seasons, which is a show about an astronaut who goes to space and comes back pregnant. It's about dealing with, like, what happened here? Who's my alien baby daddy? One assumes. I don't know. Didn't see it. Didn't even know.
Nope.
She was in 2 seasons of a TV show until I started doing research for this. Completely flew under the radar, that one. 2017, she's in 3 films, all that begin with the letter K. Weirdly.
Okay.
She's in the film...
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Optics. She's in the film Kidnap.
Okay.
In which she plays a mom whose kid gets
Kidnapped?
Just guess.
Okay.
Just guess. She's in a drama that fundamentally does not exist. She's in the drama Kings with Daniel Craig. Which is...
Oh, no, no, I was thinking of the TV show.
Oh, yes, Kings with Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. No, Kings is a drama about, like, a mom who's trying to keep her family safe during the Rodney King riots. And it's from this director who made this lovely little independent film called Mustang, and it kind of had like a little bit of like buzz, like there's this exciting new director's like next film, and it's got Halle Berry and Daniel Craig in it, and it came out and just completely disappeared, immediately became memory hold. It would be a category for this podcast, except I think it's not very fun. I don't think there's any, it's about the Rodney King riot. I don't think there's anything for us to make fun of there. And then
I mean, you were a nervous wreck just acknowledging the fact that we're 2 white guys talking about a black actress.
Anytime I have to mention the fact that
I can't imagine the
race,
pretzels you would...
I go into a flop sweat and yeah.
Is it hot in here?
And then her final movie in 2017, she's in Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
She was?
Yeah,
Oh.
she plays a character named Ginger Ale.
Huh.
Yeah,
I did not see the sequel to Kingsman.
boy, talk about a non-starter of a fucking franchise. That was a movie where it was all like, oh, people seem to like this first movie, all right. What if we made a sequel and we had like even more big names in it? And like the end of that movie is like, aren't you excited for the Kingsmen to go on adventures with their new friends Halle Berry, Jeff Bridges, and Channing Tatum? And audiences resoundingly went, no, thank you.
They made a prequel.
And then they made a prequel that also got immediately memory hold, but that largely has to do with the fact that it came out in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
So, the prequel's better.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Okay.
I wouldn't say anyone needs to watch it.
Okay.
But
I liked the first Kingsman movie.
that's all you need to see.
Yeah,
that's a franchise that they keep trying to make a thing, and they really don't need to.
Right.
That first movie's okay though. And then I would say another mini comeback for her, 2019, she's in John Wick 3, Parabellum.
Oh, yeah.
In which she's also fucking awesome. I mean, that's another kind of ensemble cast where I'd say everyone is good in that movie. And like, she kind of steals that movie for like 20 minutes. And then is all like, okay, John, there you go, Keanu, have fun. And then she's out of the movie. We never see her again.
Right,
but for like 20 minutes, that's her movie. And she's pretty badass. She proves that she can
Halle Berry is a badass.
She can still throw down as she wanted to show everyone in her next film, 2020's Bruised, which is her directorial debut, in which she plays an MMA fighter. This was a Netflix movie, so it has already been forgotten by time.
That's unfortunate.
I think it got some alright reviews.
Okay, good.
You know, and then her most recent movie is 2022's Moonfall.
Really?
She got to stop that moon falling.
Damn. Poor Halle.
Yeah.
Ebbs and flows with her career.
Mostly flows.
Yeah. She needs a new agent, I think. Because she's a good actress, and she's a knockout looking lady. She should be more popular. Bring her back to the early 2000s elevation.
I have a theory on what you just said, but I just also want to briefly add she has a bunch of movies coming out.
Good.
She has a sci-fi family drama called The Mothership coming out. She has an action thriller called Our Man from Jersey, which stars Mark Wahlberg, J.K. Simmons, and Jackie Earle Haley.
Okay.
And she's in a movie that recently shot here called Motherland, or perhaps Never Let Go. It's got one of those movies that they're still trying to finalize what the title is. But it's a horror movie that they filmed here that Bragg, my sister, worked on. And got to spend some time with Halle Berry. Quote, she's nice.
I would hope so.
Yes.
She does seem nice.
So here's the thing about Halle Berry. Yeah, she's had like a rough go of things. That career isn't quite back yet. The thing with Halle Berry, though, is as fantastic an actor as she is, and she absolutely deserves better roles, better shots at showing her diversity. And I do feel like she's in a diverse genres of films. You know, she's done kind of everything in every genre. The thing is that on a certain level, Halle Berry doesn't really need to worry about her career, because I would say that she's an icon at this point.
Yeah.
Just there's the Oscar, there's the history tied to her Oscar, and there's just the fact that in multiple pop culture properties, the joke Halle Berry Luya I have heard that over like multiple TV shows and movies. It's a thing.
I have never heard.
It's a thing that characters exclaim it. It's mostly in like black films, like for black audiences and stuff
Maybe
like that.
that's why I've never.
So
heard.
like Cedric the Entertainer is playing like a fucking preacher or something, and he goes Halle Berry Luya.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time, and just the fact that is like a saying that is entered into like the pop culture lexicon, I would say that makes her an icon at this point.
Come to think of it, Halle Berry is probably like somebody that's name dropped more frequently than the people. It's usually just at the acknowledging that she's a good looking lady, but
one of the best.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful women on the planet.
Absolutely, yeah.
But by all accounts, we are here to talk about
one of her flow moments.
Well,
not like, I shouldn't phrase it like that. We're here talking.
Certainly not. Yes.
We're here talking about one of her stinkers.
Although there's some flow in this movie, the motion of the ocean. Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna have to.
So let's take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about that tide. And the tide's coming in. Guess what? It's looking pretty dark. So stay tuned, because who knows what'll happen. Our topic of discussion today is shark movies, a genre that's synonymous with cheap thrills and guilty pleasures. But as with all modern conversations about sharks should go, we now need to transfer over to the important subject of shark conservation. Movies like Jaws are incredible, but they've also set a dangerous precedent towards the public perception of these animals. Sharks are constantly targeted, and the overfishing of these wonderful creatures is so extreme that many species are in danger of extinction. A lot of work needs to be done, both in regards to the preservation of the sharks that we have left, and in regards to the re-education of society and the understanding that common practices like hunting sharks for their fins alone is cruel and barbaric. Sharks are tied to climate change. They keep the oceans healthy. There's so many reasons to protect these amazing animals. Please consider donating to a variety of shark-based charities, like the two that we are spotlighting today, the US-based Shark Stewards and the UK-based Shark Trust. Visit the links in our bio for more information on how you can sponsor a great white and donate to keep these animals alive and around for years to come.
And we're back.
We're back. We're treading water, as we often do at this point in time.
The sharks
in
are
the recording.
circling.
Oh, boy. So, Dark Tide. It was directed by John Stockwell. Now, this guy started off his career as an actor. His two, I would say, significant movie roles. He's one of the two leads in John Carpenter's Christine, about the car that comes to life and tries to kill people.
Right.
He's not the teen that buys the car. He's the friend of the teen that buys the car and says, "You shouldn't buy that car. It's gonna come to life." And
It's got a ghost in it.
it's got the devil in it.
Right, yeah.
So he's the lead of that movie, and he's also in Top Gun. He's one of...
Wait, I looked this up. Yeah, he was Cougar.
He's Cougar.
Yeah.
Yes. The all-important Top Gun character, Cougar. He's there. He's got his name on his helmet.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's Maverick goes back to save him when there's some problem with the fuselage, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then because of his PTSD, he quits the Air Force, which allows Maverick to get into the Top Gun program. He's a super important character.
Well, there you go. This is a Cougar original. This is what happened to Cougar next.
Yeah.
He left the military and he started directing movies. His first film as a director is a Canon Films release. It's a film called Undercover, and it's kind of a bit of a 21 Jump Street pastiche because it's about a cop that goes undercover at a high school to try and take down a gang inside. Here's the poster for this movie. Just looking at the poster of this movie, Jameson, how well do you think this guy does undercover as a high school student?
Not very well.
This guy's got an aggressive widow's peak going on. This is a...
That receding hairline is...
balding gentleman.
That hairline
who
is held
this
back.
Yes. But, so he did that. And then he really found his groove. He's directed a lot of movies. He's directed like 14 movies. He really found his niche in directing movies about attractive people in swimsuits. Because he's got a whole run of those, including the 2002 film Blue Crush.
Oh, yeah, with
With,
Jessica Alba and...
No. This is Kate Bosworth and Michelle Rodriguez. You're thinking of Into the Blue with Jessica Alba and Paul Walker, which is the movie he directed next.
Oh, wow.
He directed back-to-back blue movies.
Wow.
Blue movies where ladies wear bikinis. That was the niche that he was filling in Hollywood.
Well,
at the
God
time.
bless you, sir.
He's doing God's work. He also did the movie Touristas, which is a bit of a hostile ripoff where attractive people in bathing suits, but now they get kidnapped and tortured.
Yeah, torture porn.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Other films that he has directed include SEAL Team 6, The Raid on Osama bin Laden, starring William Fichtner, Robert Nepper, Anson Mount, Freddie Rodriguez, and Exhibit.
Oh.
That's a
cool-
possible future episode.
That's a
right
collection
there.
of actors, yeah.
His most recent film is the Wesley Snipes filmed Armed Response. And he directed a movie that I believe you've seen, Jameson, Kickboxer Vengeance.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Which I was surprised to learn isn't actually a sequel to the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Kickboxer. He's in both movies, but he's playing a different character. And so there actually is no relation to the Kickboxer movie that Jean-Claude Van Damme did in the 80s.
Are you sure about that?
That's what he said. I have it right here. Kickboxer, 1989. He plays a character named Kurt Sloan. And in Kickboxer Vengeance, he plays a character named Master Durand. So yeah, no actual relation between the movies.
Okay.
A little weird. But I think maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme assumed it was a sequel to his movie, and that's why he agreed to do it, and then he got on set, and he's just like, well, I'm already here.
Yeah, like a weird soft reboot to that. But that movie does end with, I believe they try to recreate the dance scene from the original movie from the 80s.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I'm just like weirdly wrong about it. Maybe it's inspired by Kickboxer. You know what?
Yeah.
So we can't totally rip this off, but you know what? It's Kickboxer-esque.
Yes.
It has an air of Kickboxer to it. But anyway, yeah, John Stockwell, kind of an interesting career. He hasn't really directed anything of significance, but you know, he's been in some movies that you remember, and he's directed some movies that you've heard of.
That's right.
And if you don't remember his one blue movie, you will accidentally remember the other one.
As I did.
Unintentionally.
As I did.
And hey, Dark Tide kind of falls into that category of attractive people in bathing suits.
Yep.
We got Halle Berry.
We do.
And she's in a bikini in a lot of this movie. But I would say for the majority of it, she's in a full-length wetsuit. So
yeah.
you got a little taste. You got a little taste of.
Yeah, you
the
do.
Berry.
I mean, there's like more than a handful of shots of her leaning over the bow of a boat, getting that deep cleave.
Not to get basic, but we don't hate it.
Nope.
We don't hate it. And she clearly doesn't either, because she's always showing them off.
Yeah.
I mean, she's being paid to. I'm sure she has her reservations about doing it, being a woman in Hollywood.
Or maybe she's just super comfortable with her body.
I would think so.
Yeah.
She's always so. I'm thinking of that bikini she's in Die Another Day.
Mm-hmm.
She clearly has no reservations about being Halle Berry, one of the most stunning women on the planet. But
we gotta focus.
We gotta focus on Dark Tide. I would rather talk about
Tide.
anything other than Dark Tide, frankly.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so this movie is set in South Africa around False Bay, and Halle Berry plays a lady named Kate, who is part of a diving crew. I believe they're marine biologists, and they study sharks. I guess their big goal is to one day capture footage of sharks mating.
Yeah, and she's married to Jeff.
Yep.
Who is like a documentary filmmaker and
a Jacques Cousteau in a way.
Indeed. And the other members of her team are Tommy and Temba, and we see them filming some shark documentary B-roll early in the thing. We're kind of laughing and enjoying being alive and being friends. And the film opens with some narration from Kate, and she says something along the lines of, I've always loved sharks as far back as I can remember, and my father said something to me once where he said, like,
the thing that you love could kill you.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know necessarily if he was talking about literally sharks. I think maybe he was talking about men. Watch out for untrustworthy men, but
Sure.
yeah. No, it doesn't matter.
Or just be careful around sharks.
Just generally be careful around sharks, because they will kill you, as this movie is about to prove. Yes.
Yeah. So she's palling around on the boat with her crew, and then they go in the water, and they immediately start. Now, I'm not a huge expert on actual diver behavior and what they do when they get to the sharks, but it seems to me they're intentionally trying to piss these sharks off.
Yeah. One of them is like
bopping it in the nose and tugging the fins.
Is like actively like putting the hand right down the shark's mouth, and I'm just all, I don't think you should do that.
Yeah.
I think the shark's gonna get pissed off. And,
I mean, like on the boat, like I'm just watching Halle Berry just grabbing the dorsal fin of these sharks, and I'm like, is that something that they told you to do, Halle, or is that just something you?
No, but she's the shark whisperer.
She's the shark whisperer,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
And so someone gets attacked by a shark, and emphasis on someone, because this is where we run into the movie's, I would say, first big real problem, because so much of this is set underwater, and the characters are wearing full body wetsuits with the snorkels and the mask and everything like that. You can't tell who anyone is half of the time that they're underwater.
Yeah,
So for the briefest of moments, I'm like, is the opening of this going to be Halle Berry survives a shark attack? Because I thought it was her that got bit because of the way that like the editing was set up.
Yeah, the way that she's shadow boxing with the shark and everything.
But no, it is in fact Temba.
Yeah.
Temba is the one that is bitten by the shark.
You need to wait for the characters to actually surface before you hear an update on what's the status on people. Here's an easy solution: give people different colored wetsuits. You know?
Even if that's not realistic, it
helps us.
It helps us, the viewer, differentiate these characters that we met 2 minutes ago. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, so Temba, everyone's favorite character that we all fell in love with.
Oh man, I missed him so much.
He dies in the first fucking minute, and like this disperses the entire team. Halle Berry doesn't want to do shark diving anymore. She breaks off her marriage with Jeff.
It cuts to a year later.
Cuts to 1 year later.
This is now a year later, and yes, Halle Berry is now estranged from her husband, and she is working with Tommy, the other member of the crew, and Zuki, who we find out later is Temba's widow, and they are now running basically seal tours. They're taking people to see this actual rock that is filled with like that has like the biggest seal migration, like 72,000 seals,
something like that, like
something
a shit
crazy
ton of
like
seals.
this.
But they're a struggling business, like all this wildlife.
Because we see the hip cool shark hunter boats going out, and everyone is on those, and we see the German tourists come up and talk to Zuki, and there's like, no, we wanted the shark. And Zuki's just we don't do the shark. It's like, well, we wanted the shark.
I love that whole exchange. Like, we wanted the sharks. Like, no, we can do whales. And they're like, well, no, we want to go see the sharks. And she's like, no, don't do that.
See sharks. Oh yes, there are sharks out there. You'll be able to see the sharks.
Can we go on the water? Cage.
No, we don't do shark diving.
Not underwater.
If you're lucky, you'll be able to catch the whales.
Even the sharks.
No, we don't do that.
Thank you.
All right.
Don't do
fucking
that.
waste my time on these fucking whales. I can see a whale fucking anytime I want. I'm here for putting down some shark money.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
The Assassins of the Sea. I gotta be part of that. So yeah, she's taken this one family out on a seal watching tour, and Jeff just so happens to invite himself along because he's got an offer that he wants to share to.
So
Halle Berry.
I'll insert this into here because I do have to briefly mention this because this is somewhat significant to this movie. It doesn't have much to do with the plot, but I'll just kind of race through this here. So Jeff is played by Olivier Martinez, who is an actor that people probably, unless you're French, of course, because he's a French actor. He's been in lots of French movies. He's an actor that you probably only remember for one of two movies. He's the guy that Diane Lane cheats with in Unfaithful.
Okay.
But the thing that I always associate with him with, he's the villain in the movie SWAT. And I would say he's actually probably more remembered for being in the trailer to the movie SWAT, where he says, "I will give $100 million to whoever gets me out of here." $100 million! I saw that trailer a lot for some reason in 2000. Him screaming $100 million is just burned into my brain for some reason.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so he's this guy. Halle Berry, unfortunately, has seemed to have a really shitty love life. She does not tend to have good luck with romantic partners. She's been in a lot of abusive relationships. Olivier Martinez, they met on the set of this movie. He was actually her third husband.
Oh.
And the story, the truncated story is at the time, before she was with him, she was seeing this French-Canadian model, and they had a daughter together, and then they broke up, and she did this movie and started dating Olivier Martinez, and then they got into a huge custody fight, her and her ex, because Halle Berry wanted to move her and her daughter to France to live with Olivier Martinez.
Okay.
And so the ex and him actually got into this massive fist fight that resulted in I'm not sure which, one of them getting charged with like assault, and like it became like a whole thing. Like their mugshots where both of them are like bruised and bloodied became like a thing on like TMZ for a while.
Oh my God.
And eventually they sorted the custody thing out, but like it did literally come to fisticuffs between these two guys, but they sorted it out. They sorted out whatever custody thing they had to do. Halle moved to France with Olivier Martinez. They got married. They had a son, and then 2 years later they divorced, and she's with someone else now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, she has a very dramatic love life.
That's...
I feel bad for. I want Halle. There are a lot of men out there that are not treating Halle Berry like the queen she deserves to be treated as. That's all I will say on this matter.
What you just described is a more interesting movie than
I know,
Dark
right?
Tide.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, but you know, it is
crazy.
significant because this is the movie that they met on.
So sparks were flying.
Sparks
on the
were
set-
literally flying
this
on
movie.
the set of this.
And-
not that you can really tell from these performances.
Well, not that you can really tell from how fucking thick his accent
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
That is the Frenchest accent I have ever heard.
He's a very French man. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, like he has a proposition for some wealthy guy wants to go into the waters with the sharks, and he wants to take his son out on the tour, and he seeks Halle out because he's still carrying a torch for her, and he recognizes her as the Shark Whisperer, and he wants her to get out of this funk that she's been in. But she
also make a little money.
But she's honoring Temba's sacrifice and his legacy by not doing this.
Even though his wife is literally saying is all like he died on his own terms. He knew what he was getting into. He was his profession was sharks.
Yeah.
Like this was bound to happen. And he always
knew the risk.
He always said to me when we were going to bed is all like, man, I just love nothing more than poking sharks right in the face. And I love doing it. And she's just all like, you're gonna get eaten one day.
And also like, our business is struggling.
Yeah.
The business that I imagine Temba helped build. And if you want to honor his legacy, start doing some fucking shark tours again.
Yep.
Get over yourself.
And the boat needs repairs too, which is foreshadowing, but is it? I don't know. We'll get into that. I had some questions about that.
Yeah, that is actually a good point, because at the start, like, it's this old rusty bucket that they have to fix up. It gets fixed at one point, but
I don't know. We'll get
to it.
So Jeff convinces Kate to at the very least meet with this guy, meet with the guy who wants to give her a ton of money and everything.
William Bradley and his son Luke.
I have Brady. But you know what? I'm getting that name. I'm getting that name off of Letterboxd, which is notoriously bad for character names. So you know what? I'll go with you. It's William Bradley.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's just like this asshole rich guy.
He's your typical rich wealthy douchebag who is this like thrill seeker and stuff like that. We learn later that he like climbed Everest and like did other things and whatnot. He immediately labels himself as a creep
by complimenting her eyebrows.
He said you have beautiful eyebrows, which like even it's meant to like set this guy up as like a wealthy douchebag and like a creepazoid, but like. Even if you said that to like your actual romantic partner or like a long-term friend, even if you said that to someone you have known for a long period of time, still objectively a weird thing to say to anyone.
Yeah, and the movie kind of lingers on that line too, because everyone kind of like looks around and like really, we all heard that, right?
It sucks the air out of the room. Yeah, they really do linger on that for a while.
Yeah, beautiful eyebrows, you know. Stunning. Really, stunning. Sorry, I notice things like that. It's a compliment. You don't like compliments. Hey, let's sit down. Luke, scoot. Come on. Luke.
So he's there on visitation because he's divorced from his wife and his son lives in South Africa with the mother. So this is just a
Luke? Is
that
the son's name? Yeah, Luke.
Yeah,
we should get the names right because it's like there's 5 characters in this movie.
Yeah, and Luke is just this wishy-washy, whiny teenage kid.
He seems like a good kid.
He seems like a good kid, but
he's next to his dad. So
yeah, but he's not a man in his dad's eyes, so he wants to throw him in a shark cage and swim with the sharks. No, specifically swim with the sharks, not in the cage.
That's the thing is Bradley wants to get out of the cave and he wants to swim with the sharks the way Kate swims with the sharks, actually going around. And Kate rightfully says that I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't say this to Bradley, but obviously we know that she has her reservations because she lost her friend recently and whatnot. But she does agree to take them on her regular seal watching voyage. And if they find sharks, she will let them do a cage dive.
Yeah.
That is the most that she agrees
Yeah, she
to.
never guarantees sharks.
Never guarantees free swimming with the sharks.
Which is not what the rich guy really asked, but he goes along with it.
He goes along with it because, unbeknownst to Kate, Jeff sends a sneaky little text message to Bradley, basically saying,
I'll talk to
don't worry, I'll sweet talk her. I am French, don't you know? Women cannot resist my wily charms.
Yeah, just give me 5 minutes alone with her. Yeah, so she agrees to do this, and it kind of, spending time with Jeff again, I guess, sort of like rekindles old romances. Getting a lot of mixed signals from Kate.
Jeff is going in for a smooch, and Kate doesn't want to do it. And then, like, a few scenes later, she seems kind of more fine with kissing him.
She's way more flirty.
Yeah, almost as if there wasn't any sort of continuity in between the scenes.
Yeah, they really
okay.
had no idea what they wanted from these two characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, they decide to go out on the boat, and they bring along Tommy. Yeah,
Tommy, who is her employee, who is
first mate,
who is South African, and he's a bit of a ladies' man.
Movie's comedy relief, and I never got a laugh from this guy.
Comedy's relief. I don't think he tells any joke. I was able to ascertain one joke that this movie almost told, but it was completely ruined by the pacing and the editing of the scenes. It's when she's talking to Zuki early on. and this movie weirdly is about a South African like shark tour business that is run by an American and a Frenchman for some reason.
Yeah.
They do have South African employees, but no, the main people aren't from there. And there's like a scene where she's arguing with Zuki and she tries speaking Afrikaans. Is that the South African language? I'm probably wrong about that, but she tries speaking... I know saying she's speaking South African to her. I know that's wrong, but for the purposes of this story, she speaks in Zuki's language, and we see the subtitles. She says, 10 monkeys in a jelly jar.
Yeah.
And then Zuki says, just speak to English. I'm speaking to you in English right now. You don't even need to try. And it's like, that was almost a joke, but you ruined it because you went too fast by it. I was barely able to...
Is that what the movie was trying to do?
I think so.
It was her botching, like speaking in her language.
I think she was trying to tell Zuki one thing, and then she ended up saying 10 monkeys in a jelly jar, which is a pretty old, pretty creaky joke in terms of like one person doesn't know how to speak the language.
Yeah, and
it's like, how do you say thank you? That was a lovely meal, and then they're all like, my pudding is in my pants. I don't know. That's what the best I could do.
Yeah, that does come up in the middle of their discussion.
Yeah,
like they're speaking English, and then she just drops 10 monkeys in a jelly jar, and I'm like, okay, so that's going to come back, and we're going to know what that means. That's sort of like their shorthand for something.
Because I think
I
think that's what it was meant to be.
It was meant to be a joke, but
all of the room they gave the nice eyebrows line to breathe, they could have taken some of that and given it to that. But they didn't. They gave it all to that. And then when they got to that, they're like, shit, we have no more air left. We gotta keep going.
Yeah. So Halle Berry, Jeff, William, Luke, and Tommy, whose name should just be Dead Meat.
Should be shark food.
That's right. That's his role in on the ship.
Yeah.
So they put her out there to go to the seal sanctuary,
which is related to the Shark Watch because she says this is also like the biggest feeding ground for sharks in all of South Africa.
Yeah, they're in the right place for it, and now it's just they got to play the waiting game. Oh, one thing we forgot to mention before they disembark, William lights up a cigarette on the boat. And there's this huge thing about not smoking on her boat. Put out the cigarette. And he's being real defiant about it. He's being a real dick, not putting it out. And then he finally does. And he says the line, all right, but I'm going to get a little cranky later when I don't have my cigarettes. I was really hoping that this movie would have turned into more of like a horror thing where he starts getting like... His Nick fit becomes the thing that drives him to be like a crazed murderer.
Yeah.
That's where I thought they were going with it.
That moment does inform something that happens a little later, and like it does inform like an eventual reveal that we find out about this character, but it also leads to kind of like a whole bunch of nothing. It doesn't really inform the story all that much. It's just kind of an additional bit of assholery that Bradley engages in here.
That sticks around. Like that sequence goes on for a little bit longer than it should.
And like the movie front loads a lot of this. Like there's like this nice little moment between Jeff and the son where he's showing off like his camera, and clearly like this is a kid with an interest in photography, and he has some he's a
sensitive artsy type.
He's a sensitive art. He clearly has like an eye for it and stuff. And the dad comes by and he's all like, "Oh, did I buy that for you?" And he starts being really shitty about it. He's doing like, "Click, click, click. Hey, look, I'm a photographer." Ha ha ha. And it's like, all right, cool. We're just like not supporting our son whatsoever. And off the tail end of that, he calls Jeff like a Frenchie or something, and Jeff
or like a frog or something.
A frog, yeah. He gets right in his face. I mean, it basically just pisses everyone off. And at that point in time, I wrote down, is the plot of this movie going to be about 4 people on a boat that ultimately all decide they're fine with murdering the 5th person on the boat?
I wrote down in my notes,
blaming it on the sharks.
There's a part where they're lowering him in the shark cage, and he's going in without his son. And there has to be a moment where everyone kind of looks at each other and goes, "So we're doing this, right? We're gonna cut him loose." Like
they're just making him so unlikable. I'm all like, "Oh, okay. Is that what this movie about? Is it like a character study where like?" Everyone's like, we did the perfect murder, and now we have to live with ourselves. And it's like, but no, because that would mean the movie does something that's interesting, and that's not what we're doing.
No, this
here.
movie is not interested in doing interesting things. One thing I did appreciate though was, okay, a shark eventually does swim by, and like, well, let's wait a little bit longer because he just came by to investigate the boat, and then he swims off. I think the movie does a really good job of conveying just how fucking boring it is when you do these wildlife expeditions.
Here's the movie's hook. shall we say. Because when you say shark movie, you get this kind of like knee-jerk idea in your head, whether or not it's like a big budget movie with recognizable stars in it, or it's one of these bargain basement schlock movies like Exorcist Shark or Six-Headed Shark Attack or whatever like that. You expect a certain type of movie. Dark Tide is not that.
Yeah,
Dark Tide
unfortunately.
is decisively not that. It is trying to be like accurate. It's a movie that's really focused on like naturalism and accuracy. Like you do sort of feel, I will say, not necessarily like a point in the movie's favor, because I do think it is an astoundingly dull movie at times. But I did get the feeling that Halle Berry was a shark expert. She sounded like she knew exactly what she was talking about.
She's teaching the other characters all
And,
these shark
and
biology.
us, the audience, at the same time.
Yeah, I did not know that sharks' anal fins are sensibly like two penises.
There we go. We learned something today. Thank you. Thank you, Halle.
She's beautiful.
She's a he.
How do you know it's a male?
Because I can see his claspers on his anal fins. Essentially, that's like two penises.
But no, you're absolutely right. It captures the mundanity of going on one of like those sightseeing tours,
expeditions,
where like there's this big ramp up. You have to get your wetsuit on. You have to like depressurize or whatever. You have to get into the cage. The cage has to be lowered.
And then there's like a 50-50 shot of you're actually going to see something.
Yeah, the shark just fucks off.
Yeah.
Because the shark don't care. Shark's got shark's got to swim. Shark's got to check things out. Shark's got to see if he can eat things. It's busy. It's got things to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's indeed what happens here. And while I'm on this point, I will say maybe like the strongest thing I can say about this movie is that, because like combing through like the reviews for this, I'm seeing like a lot of 1 stars. I'm seeing a lot of half stars. I'm seeing a lot of people saying this is like one of the worst shark movies ever made. I didn't like this movie. I can't get on board for that.
Yeah.
Largely because the underwater photography is really impressive.
Yes.
Like when you can see what's fucking going on. But like this is a movie that, like, if there was any CGI sharks in this movie, it's used super sparingly.
Yep.
For the most part, these are real, actual great whites that people got in the water with. I know it's not like the actors, obviously, but you know,
it's professional divers.
Professional divers in wetsuits. So
taking those underwater cameras,
Yeah.
and they're probably experienced nature documentarians.
So I will say, like, this is the strongest thing in the movie's favor. Is like, if you want to see a movie with real fucking sharks in it, Dark Tide does in fact have that.
Yeah.
And
now, of course, the sharks that do attack people, those are the CGI.
Yes, of course, but even that's done fairly well. Like when I've already forgotten his name. Where
Temba?
He was so memorable. When Temba gets munched at the beginning, I'm all like, that was actually a pretty good effect of the shark.
It happens.
Getting its jaws around his torso, and then just swimming off, and I'm all like, I bought that.
Yeah,
based on what I saw earlier from that shark.
It happens quick enough that you don't really process that this is fully CGI. You don't recognize it as that. It doesn't fall into that uncanny valley. And then the next thing you see is a real shark, and the CG is like pretty good too for the most part.
I mean, yeah, even without like CGI or camera tricks or anything like that, just the image of a shark silently gliding through the water and like cutting through like the murk of like the underwater until it's like fully visible. That's just like one of the most like aesthetically goosebump giving images. Anyone can get creeped out a little bit just by seeing that.
Oh,
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Just like the silent killers, even though like
as
like time has gone on, like more and more people have more like love and respect for sharks. It's still nerve-wracking to see them do that because they're so big, but they're so fast, and it's completely silent because you're underwater.
And it doesn't rely on like cheap jump scares for it either. You know, like there is that part where they're swimming through the kelp forest, and you know a sea lion comes a little
seal jump scare. I did write that down.
That was like the closest the movie gets to like a cheap scare, but everything else is you know just is really building on the tension. It's a real slow burn.
I forgot that moment. That moment actually really worried me because that's when the editing gets fucking crazy and it gets all choppy and stuff. I think that scene is meant to show that Halle Berry still isn't over her trauma.
Yeah,
and she kind of has like a little mini freak out. But luckily, that's the last scene in the movie that's edited that way. I was worried that all of the underwater shit was going to look like that. That would have made the movie impossible to watch.
Oh, one thing that I was really worried about, when they do see their first shark out on the expedition, when the shark appears, it is accompanied by a weird police siren. Did you notice that?
No.
Okay, I'll include the audio for that. But I had to rewind it twice to make sure I wasn't hearing, a whoop whoop from outside. So I was like, oh my god, are they going to be doing one of these weird sound effects?
Was it the shark police?
Yeah, it was shark police.
Yeah, it was shark police, yeah. It was just cruising by, just making sure.
What's always saying? Moving along, sir. All right, so the rich guy and his son are in the tank. And then, because that was like part of their deal, they wanted to swim the sharks, but Halle Berry said, "You're not doing that on my boat."
He wants to swim with sharks.
He wants to swim
The poor kid just kind of wants to spend some time with his dad for a reason that we find out roughly around this point. Turns out, on top of everything else, Bradley is dying of cancer, and so his attitude is somewhat spurned on by the fact that he obviously leads like this thrill-seeking lifestyle, and he feels compelled, I guess, to like cram as much in and make memories with his kid while he's still here.
Yeah.
But it's like, rather than just like spending time with them, he's forcing them to do something,
all these daredevil things,
mind-numbingly dangerous and life-threatening.
Well, because he wants his kid to grow up to be a man. He doesn't respect his son because he's a little wimpy in his eyes. And
because he's a great guy. Cool man.
Yeah, and he's just like this unapologetic asshole, to the point where he's even saying, like, I bet you can't even wait for me to die so you can get all my money. Well, a fat chance of that even happening. And I'm like, okay, yeah, so you are gonna kill this guy, right? Like all the cards are on the table for this guy to get.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would really fucking think. But the movie has some tricks up its sleeve. But yeah, everyone deals with grief in their own way. The movie might possibly be making a meta commentary on that, because both the rich man is dealing with his own mortality, and Halle Berry is struggling with the guilt over losing her friend, even though everyone around her constantly reminds her that was not her fault.
Yep. And move on, because we all have, clearly.
He chose to get in the water and poke that shark in the eye. I don't know what to tell you. It's like he set himself up for that.
Speaking of getting into the water, the rich guy climbs out of the shark cage, and that is immediately on Halle Berry's no-no list.
That's
and
the top of the no-no list right there, yeah.
Yeah, so she yanks him out of the water and says, like, that's it, asshole, we're going home.
Yeah. The dialogue is really quite poor in this movie. It's a lot of just, like, unlikable people yelling at each other, and even like, the yelling isn't, like, terribly, like, well thought out. It's a lot of just, like, repeating the same statements over and over again. Halle Berry's character does a lot of, like, people will accuse her of something, she does a lot of, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
She does that, like, 8 times in the movie. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
But yeah, at that point, William says, well, your boyfriend there said that you would guarantee me swimming with the sharks. And that's when there's like I didn't quite grasp why she was mad at Jeff. It was either that he went behind her back and promised the guy that he could go swim with the sharks, or the fact that he implied that they were still an item to this guy.
They say boyfriend like 5 times in this scene. I was very confused. I'm all like, did no one mention that they used to be married? Just use it's not the term. Use a different term at this point. But very, very on point. No, she's mad at him because he sent a sneaky text to him, and
that's what it was.
And he showed her the text, and the text is all like, "Don't worry, I can talk her into it," or something like that. But like, she doesn't even stay mad at Jeff for that long, though. She's mad at him for like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, but then she gets, like, her personality completely changed, and she gets very crazy.
You want to see sharks?
You want to see?
I'll show you some fucking sharks.
We're getting some sharks. Like, get out of here, Tommy.
It's kind of
full throttle.
It's kind of great. It's kind of Halle Berry going full Nicolas Cage for a moment, and I'm kind of here for it. Honestly, I kind of liked it a lot.
All these nervous men are just like, what's happening? Why is this crazy woman taking us out to the choppier waters?
We're going to Shark Alley. Fuck you. We're going to see the sharks.
We're going to Shark Alley, and I just immediately thought, like,
that's right, yeah. I wrote down 53 minutes in, and now the movie. Now we have a movie.
Yeah.
Finally, we have a movie.
Here we go.
It's like something interesting is happening, and Bradley's being very confrontational with her and everything. He's all like, "Yeah, fuck it, let's go to Shark Alley. I want to see the fucking shark." It's a real ham off. Yeah, exactly. And they speed off to a more dangerous part of the water of the dark tide.
Yeah,
and
even to the point where like even William is just like, "Hey, I think I owe you an apology.
Yeah. This
I
is
kind of don't want to go with the sharks anymore. Oh, now you don't want to go with the sharks
weird.
now, huh?
This is weird timing too, because like they have kind of like their freak out towards each other. It's all like, "Yeah, fuck you, we're going to Shark Alley," and then the movie takes like a second to breathe, and then as you say, William comes over to Kate and is, "Hey, Kate and William, there you go," and says, "All right, I owe you an apology. I know why you're probably acting the way you're acting. I read about your friend that got hit. I also let a friend die. We were climbing Everest. He's still up there. So I just want to let you know, I know this entire movie I've been nothing but horrible to everyone around me, and I've just been the biggest asshole on planet Earth. But now, at like nearly an hour into the movie, I am letting you know I'm actually maybe a human being." And like,
please don't put me in the water with the
what's
sharks,
funny
Halle Berry.
is how that scene comes to absolutely nothing, because she's just like quietly simmering behind the wheel.
Yeah.
She's all like, "Oh, we're going to see them sharks."
She is hell-bent. It's too late to say sorry now. I was surprised that when he said, "Hey, I know what happened to Temba," Halle didn't immediately snap neck over to Jeff.
Don't you say his name?
You told him about Temba?
would have been public news. Probably would have been out there. I'm sure if someone gets eaten by a shark, that makes the papers.
I don't know if that's Jeff's place to tell stranger Halle's tragic backstory.
It's not Jeff's place to say a lot of things, but he does.
That's true. Yeah,
he does for that money.
In an outrageous French accent.
We briefly see Tommy killing some time by playing an iPad game where he's a guy on a jet ski, and if you fall off the jet ski, you get eaten by a shark. I'm just gonna say, someone whose job it is to work with sharks and understand their actual nature, and also recently had a friend and colleague eaten by a shark, probably wouldn't be playing that iPad game.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing for that character to be doing. I don't know. Maybe he's processing his grief differently. Maybe he has a darker sense of humor.
For that, I just wrote, so they're on like the rockiest seas I've ever seen, and he's playing like one of those gyroscopic games.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's moving the iPad. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So basically, like nothing's happening.
No.
He's just falling off the jet ski every 2 seconds.
Anyway, but this is around the part where the ship starts to malfunction.
Right.
Yeah.
And we think, thank you, movie, because you set this up earlier. You set up and pay off.
Yeah.
This actually makes sense. We're in Shark Alley. Now the boat's going to break down. And the boat does break down for like 2 minutes.
And then they fix it.
And then it's not a problem again.
We gotta switch to manual steering, so they get like the fucking steering stick or what have you.
Yeah.
To pilot it away from the reefs and the rocks, and I'm like, so that boat's gonna hit the reefs and the rocks, right? And then they're gonna be surrounded by sharks? That's what's gonna happen here, right? No.
The rocks, definitely. The reefs, if we're lucky. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, like jumping ahead a little bit, like, but eventually when the boat capsizes, that doesn't have anything to, that's just purely weather based, right? That doesn't have anything to do with like engine failure or anything like that. No, it's completely unrelated. So again, this weird little segment where it's all like, we're gonna have boat trouble. Oh, we're gonna be in trouble. No, we fixed it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Don't you worry.
Don't you worry about it.
Everyone is safe and sound.
Again, it's weirdly going for more of the realism of the situation.
Yeah, this isn't your sharksploitation yuck fest. This is a highly scientifically accurate nature documentary.
If I had to compare it to another shark movie, have you ever seen Open Water?
No.
I would say that this is kind of like the closest that it gets. That's a movie that really doubles down on the realism. It's almost filmed in sort of like a found footage type situation, but it isn't. It's a movie about 2 people who go on a shark tour. It's based on like a real thing that actually happened, which is terrifying when you consider it, but it's a bunch of people who went on like a shark tour with a bunch of other people and they got left behind. And the movie is just, most of the movie is just two people bobbing up and down in the water. And again, that's a movie that uses real sharks. This is the closest that movie, that's a much better movie. A far superior movie to Dark Tide. But it is the one that reminded me the most of it. Because this isn't like a Jaws or a Deep Blue Sea. Like, these sharks act like sharks in this movie.
Right.
And it's kind of admirable what this movie is
I was
doing.
going to say, you're giving this some high praise.
Because sharks do eat people in this movie, which is indeed a thing that happens in real life. There are, of course, tons of other animals that eat more people than sharks do.
Oh, yeah. It's rare when a shark eats
But, like, at the very least, this is a movie that understands that it's all like, look, if you're dumb enough to put yourself in this scenario, then yeah, sharks will eat you. But also, a lot of the time, sharks will just mostly leave you the fuck alone if you don't, if you don't poke them in the face.
Yeah.
They'll leave you the fuck alone.
They're interested in eating seals or something that's going to be...
They love seals.
Because they're small enough that they can eat them. Humans are a little too big for sharks. But anyways, they find a new batch of sharks. And Halle's like, get in the fucking water! Go!
No, these are even huger! These are like the biggest sharks I've ever fucking seen! Get in there!
Here's the fucking sharks you wanted to see, asshole!
And his son is negging him, too, at this point. He's all like, yeah, Dad, get in the cage, Dad! I just want to get in the dark. I thought you wanted to swim with the sharks, Dad!
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Jeff drops a line that was pretty interesting to me. Halle goes into the water. She's got her diver suit on. That's how you shit now. Did you catch him saying that?
Absolutely not.
Or I'll include the line.
I don't know if I could understand half of what this character was saying.
No, but that's how you shit now.
That's how you shit now.
Yeah. Okay.
In what what was he referring to?
I don't know.
In what context?
I don't know.
All
Just
right.
that she was in a hurried frenzy to get into the water, and
Well,
she's not waiting for him.
I know how we're closing out the episode.
So yeah, they're swimming with the sharks, and they're having a lovely time, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is when all fucking hell breaks
So
loose.
the Jeff, Kate, and William are in the water. Kate's outside the cage. I guess Jeff's role is to film everything because he's always in the water with a camera.
Yeah, and they mentioned that he wants to make his prize documentary starring Halle Berry. What we wanted to call it like Legends of the Deep, but really
Something cheesy like that.
Yeah, Halle's the Legend of the Deep because she can.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
All right now.
All right.
Okay. And then Tommy and Luke are up on board, and
William's in the cage.
Unbeknownst to the people in the water, things are going a little tits up just because the anchor is moving. They're not properly anchored.
Yeah, it starts drifting, so they're
and
getting
the water's
further.
getting really choppy, and the weather's picking up.
Yes, and also the pulley holding up the cage breaks. So now William, trapped in the cage, is now sinking to the bottom of the ocean, which I thought was quite interesting.
I thought what was funny, like right before the cage breaks, is Kate is swimming up to the cage and she's basically like, it's funny because no one's saying anything because they're underwater and
Right.
you wouldn't be able to hear them regardless. So this is like purely physical acting here. But like William is going like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay where I am. And Kate's basically like, oh, you're getting out of the cage, you son of a bitch.
dragging him.
She's like yanking on the door. It's all like, you're getting the fuck out. It's so funny how angry Halle Berry gets in like the second half of this movie.
She's insane.
It's like, get the fuck out of here!
They needed to call a mutiny and tie her into the brig or something. But yeah, so the cage falls to the bottom of the ocean, and then the boat capsizes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it flips, and Luke gets trapped underneath the hull or whatever, and and everyone is holding on to things. Three of them are, of course, wearing wetsuits so they can traverse the choppy waters. But poor Tommy is immediately freezing.
Yeah.
And he can't really do much more than barely hold on to the boat. And I mean, that's when the sharks show
That's when the sharks get
That's when
him.
the sharks get here. And and they
If you can tell.
you can tell them. Yes. Yeah. And
This is when the movie's almost in pitch black.
It's nearly impossible to tell what happens in this part of the movie. Like, I felt at one point like maybe I should like rewind the movie and try to make out what was going on, but I'm all like, they're trying to survive. I
can infer what's going on
They'll
here.
figure out what's going on. And this is the moment where this is kind of the only moment in the movie where we see that like William is a person.
Yeah.
He is a human being.
He gets out of the cage and he's worried for his son.
And he snaps into dad mode. And we can hear Luke calling out for help somewhere out in the thing, and William does this rescue entirely by himself. And he swims out and he gets his boy and he takes him back to the raft. And I guess at some point in time a handoff happens between him and Jeff, because Jeff and Luke end up back at the wreck, and William, he don't make it.
Nope.
He don't make it. How did you feel about this moment? How did you feel about the death of this character?
Like in how it is depicted, or like just in general? Like,
I think both in how it's depicted and how I think the movie expects us to feel about this. Because we watch this character be a repentant douchebag the entire movie. But then right at in his final moments, he does something unambiguously heroic and puts other people before his own life.
Yeah, I mean, the look on his face looked like he was still even processing that. Like he had never felt that strong of an emotion to protect his son. You know, his pure primal instinct to save your child. And yeah, it looked like he was contemplating his entire situation and the choices he had made up until that point.
William Bradley's got to think about his entire life
about his legacy
before he gets eaten by a shark.
Yeah. But then when the shark actually does eat him, the shark fucking leaps out of the water.
It's the one sharksploitation moment of the movie.
Yeah, this is straight out of a sci-fi original movie.
The movie knew it needed one good kill.
Yeah, and this was it.
This was it. He just jumps right out and chomp. Like it's reminiscent of like that Nat Geo footage of like the giant great white jumping out of the water and eating the seal, if you've ever seen that.
Oh yeah,
I've watched that like 10 times in a row.
That is spectacularly cool.
Maybe one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
It's just that shark
jumping
out of the water.
Full body out of the water.
And the movie is kind of started trying to replicate that, because the shark does fully jump out of the water and grab William in his mouth and then dives back in, and then he's gone. And then Kate swims out and grabs the life raft. And
well, this is actually kind of funny too, because it's in one of those floating capsules, but for some reason it starts sinking, which I don't think those things are designed to ever sink like that. But anyways,
we need more tension for this movie, though.
Yeah, so she goes under the water to get the sinking raft.
And she's freediving all of this too, right?
Yeah. She doesn't have an oxygen. Yeah. None of them have oxygen tanks.
None of them have oxygen tanks. Like freediving is like her thing.
Yeah.
Like she always dives without oxygen.
Right.
She says it attracts the sharks.
Yeah. But then it's a moment where it's her versus the shark. You know, your main event. Finally, the movie we got here. Cultivating. Yeah. She's got a face.
She looks at his eyes all like, "That's the one that eat them." I can tell. I can tell it's the same shark.
Yeah, you and me, shark. Let's settle this once and for all. And then she just sort of dodges it as it swims by, and it leaves her alone.
And that's the climax of the movie.
That's the climax of the movie. She gets the life raft. She saves everybody, and then a rescue.
Everyone who's left.
Everyone who's left. So
poor Tommy gets his legs bitten off, and then they just leave him to sink into the water in the life raft. Oh, we forgot to mention there's a completely unnecessary, borderline offensive moment where we cut back to Zuki, who's calling in the Coast Guard to find them, because she's just I just have a feeling. My magical black woman is telling me that I have a feeling that people are in danger somewhere, and it's like, we could have inferred that someone called the Coast Guard. We didn't need this scene of her doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we just see a helicopter show up.
And in fact, they don't ships, even tiny boats like that, they have mechanisms that if in the event of a capsize,
they have flares.
It immediately I think it immediately sends some kind of black box radio signal to the Coast Guard. So yeah, they're well aware. But
it was unnecessary. It was an added bit of.
She wanted to call. She wanted to talk to the supervisor, and
she begged for one more scene.
Yeah,
so I know just anything. I need one more scene.
I know I got one real good acting scene left in me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and the movie ends with the implication that Halle Berry and Jeff went on to make Legends of the Deep, I guess.
And it both begins and ends with narration from Kate, but I don't remember what Kate says at the end.
I think it's about the shark.
I guess the journey was the destination. I don't know.
The friends we made along the way. No. It was it was cornier than that. They found that the a female shark, when it wanted to do its spawning or whatever, went to the same place that it was born, like thousands of miles away.
That's right. They tracked a shark from Australia
And
back to Cape Town. Yeah.
And it was like, so in the end, she went home. But are they talking about the shark, or are they talking about Halle Berry returning to her shark whisperer ways?
They're talking about the shark.
They're
talking literally about the
well,
shark. Yeah.
in the end, aren't we all just
Aren't we all
mommy sharks?
Not me. I'm a baby. I'm a baby shark. Yeah.
All right.
Was there anything else we didn't talk about? And I guess Luke is just traumatized for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
not a happy ending for that guy. He watched his dad fucking get eaten by a goddamn shark.
His last memories of his dad are gonna be, boy, he was a real asshole that trip, but he managed to save me.
He did save my life and then die in a horrible way. And
and everyone's gonna be like, he saved you? That doesn't sound like your dad. The first part you said where he was an asshole the whole trip, that sounds like your dad.
I guess what like they're implying, like some sort of situation where it's all like, what would you prefer, die slowly of cancer or get eaten by a shark? Frankly, both of those options sound bad to me.
Yeah.
There's plenty. If you want to risk your life, that's fine, because you know you're gonna die anyway. But like, I don't like the concept of getting eaten.
No.
It's one of my biggest fears. I don't like it. I don't like the chewing, and I don't like the swallowing. I don't want it to happen to me.
Right.
But cancer is also bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bad both ways.
This isn't like a coin toss.
It's really not a coin toss. Yeah. Someone pointed a gun at me and said, like, I'll either give you cancer or you can jump in this shark's mouth right now. Which one would you got? I'd really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Really hard.
So, a couple of things that I wanted to mention that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
So they do go to this area, Shark Alley, where it's like the biggest shark spawning grounds or shark territories in the world. That is an actual real place.
Yeah.
I wanted to just do some perusing and like just some research on this.
I think all of the locations in this movie are probably accurate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They're like real places you can go to.
So I found top video on YouTube for Shark Alley. It's just like this thing from Shark Week where they're talking about a diving expedition there. It was narrated by Batman himself, the late Kevin Conroy.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so
oh, cool.
If you want to hear Batman talk about sharks, just look out that video for Shark Alley.
Hell yeah.
That was awesome.
She's in hunt mode, and it's not long before she investigates the shark rover. While Andy and Devin are protected in the rover, there is one major opening. The filming port at the front of the cage. A shark could easily swim into this entry point.
Coming back! He's super curious! Hit the cage!
With the cage at the surface, Matilda ambushes from below.
Turn all out!
The same strategy she uses to breach on seals.
We have a dive runner! He's not afraid of anything! Dynamite's checking him out! It seems like they're sort of vying for dominance!
But he isn't afraid of Matilda.
When you're... But the other thing I wanted to mention, 2 posters for this movie. One has Halle Berry in a bikini top.
Yeah.
And the other one is like the exact same pose, but now her bikini top is red.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Let me see if I can...
Did you got it? Hold on, let me find it. I got it up here. Oh yeah, I see it now.
Yeah. So she's...
Yeah, they just changed the color of her bikini top?
They changed the bikini top entirely because the other one has like floral patterns on
Yeah.
it. But yeah, what the fuck's up with that?
Here's the floral pattern in blue, and now here it is again with like a yellow and red. They can't leave her bikini top alone.
This warrants further research of me looking at Halle Berry's
Absolutely,
chest.
I gotta go deep into here. I gotta deep this. Here's a fun one with a shark that is not reflective of the sharks that are actually in this
that
movie.
is a very
This makes it look like a much more exciting movie.
It does.
Than it is, even though Halle Berry has a look on her face like she just caught a nasty fart.
Like, I gotta...
Someone let one
I gotta be in shark tide. I agreed to this.
Can't remember the name of the movie. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this. No, but there is in fact another movie called Dark Tide. And yeah, we saw like a bunch of other posters for it.
Yeah,
And,
one's like a softcore porn by the looks of it.
they are all.
Oh, they're all the same.
They're all the same movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they're all the same.
So yeah, if you're trying to find a movie called Dark Tide,
maybe
good
the
luck.
porno one's better.
It really there's no right answer as to what the poster for this movie looks like.
Yeah.
It's really up in the air. So Jameson, Dark Tide, does it have a certain something, or is it the other thing?
I don't think it's got much.
I don't think this movie has basically nothing.
Basically nothing.
It has good shark photography, but like there's so many other venues if you want to see that.
Absolutely.
You want to see some like nature photography of sharks being sharks. Just go fucking watch Shark Week.
Yeah, wait another year till Shark Week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't really have much thoughts on this movie itself. I thought they were trying. They needed to settle on some kind of characterization and a goal for them to do.
What I will say is like, this movie only gets interesting, and like us talking about it here, and it's all like, there is something about this rich millionaire character where it's like there's something to it.
There's a better movie here somewhere.
There is a better movie buried deep somewhere in the plot of this movie with two of these characters. This movie wasn't able to figure that out, though.
Yeah. It didn't know what it really wanted to do with Jeff and Halle Berry.
Didn't know what to do with Jeff at all. Jeff's a complete afterthought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all I gotta say.
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
Couldn't make up its mind on things. I don't know, decent pacing, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. All right.
Pretty mid. Pretty mid. Certainly not the worst shark movie ever made, but also not something you remotely need to see.
No.
Yeah. Okay, well, there we go.
All right.
So, Jameson.
Yes. You have something on your mind. You wanted to bring something up to me.
I alluded to something before the episode began. We are going
Special announcement?
Special announcement.
Okay.
A surprise announcement,
okay,
if you will. Leaving the house today, was not planning to end the podcast this way. But,
okay.
I'll set this up. So, before I came over to your apartment tonight to record this episode, I got downtown a little earlier, and I was killing some time at the...
Don't dox me now. You're perusing a thrift store.
Perusing a thrift store, yes. And, I'm just, like, looking around, and occasionally I will go over to the DVD section that they have over there just to see if we have potential episode options there. I absolutely was not expecting to find anything when I went down there.
You found a hidden treasure?
Jameson.
Yes?
I'm leaning over to get my bag here. I'm very happy to report that very soon it will be time for us to return to Wonderland.
Oh, shit! The long-lost Christmas movie that we thought never would see the light of day.
Now, to add a bit of context, for
man.
those of you who don't know, was it 2020? Was it that long ago?
It was the year that we did Home for the Holidays with Hannah. And
2 years ago, Jameson and I prepared an episode for, I believe, The Fuck Is This?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was going to be our Christmas episode.
It was going to be our Christmas episode for a movie called Christmas in Wonderland.
Bonkers fucking movie.
Yep.
Lots to talk about.
That we had a guest for that episode, and we watched the movie. We got as far as watching the entire movie, and as Jameson continually reminds me, he still has a folder filled with audio clips and images from the movie, just burning a hole on his computer currently right now. And then the day we were set to record that episode, the guest had to last minute drop out of the episode. But yeah, so for years, like, Christmas in Wonderland was sort of like, was our great white whale of an episode that we were
what could have been.
We had a lot to say about that, and we did. It was really hard to watch it too. The thing is that it is a spectacularly hard movie to find a copy of.
Not on any streaming service.
We had to get like a VPN and stream it off of some United States web streaming site that I've never heard of just to watch it. And we've always meant to follow up and do the episode on this, but we can never find a copy. And I found one for $1 on just sheer dumb luck.
Yeah.
And let me tell you,
$1 is like the appropriate amount for that movie.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, if anyone was in that thrift store that saw me see this, pull it out and go, oh shit, yes! and then noticed what I was holding, that would have been probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. Yeah. And that's a big long list right there. But yeah, it's on the books. Coming
Excellent.
this December.
This holiday season.
Get the family together because we're going to West Edmonton Mall. Oh, I'm sorry, Wonderland Mall with our old friends Chris Kattan, Carmen Electra, with Tim Curry and Patrick Swayze.
Mm-hmm.
And stay tuned.
Oh,
It's
you wait.
on the docket. Will it have a guest? Maybe. I don't know. We're going to start shopping around for that now. But at the very least, we know what our Christmas episode is
Absolutely.
this year.
All right.
I cannot believe I own this now.
Takes care of the holiday.
It is wild.
Oh.
It is wild that I found that it was around the corner.
What a little Christmas miracle.
A little Christmas miracle. A Christmas in August.
That's right.
Indeed. Well, that was Dark Tide, directed by Cougar from Top Gun. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please check out our back catalog of episodes, both under the name Nothing Movies and The Fuck Is This. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. If you're listening to us on Spotify and you want a more visual hint to the... Why can't I think of words? Jameson does images.
I include pictures and
stuff. It's a video podcast. It's a new technology. It's video podcasting. No one else is doing it. We're cornering the market on it.
Yeah, and if people are actually watching the YouTube one, they're just like, yeah, I get it, Kaz. I know.
Right. Yeah, and if you want to do that in your
car
and you're distracted by that, yeah, we're also on Spotify. There we go. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. We're on all the social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X.com.
Yeah, for now. Do we got to go on to Threads?
I don't. That's the new thing.
That's the new thing. I think you run the Instagram. I think that's sort of tied into.
I can barely run the Instagram
all right.
as it is. So all
right,
I don't know. We're out there.
We'll see.
We're there. But
shoot us an email.
We're still on that sinking ship. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a ship that's capsizing very slowly. But anyway, for Nothing Movies, I'm Kaz.
I'm Jameson, and in the immortal words of Halle Berry, 10 monkeys in a jelly jar.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. I still don't know what.
I thought it was going to be something about his anal glands is technically too penile.
I was looking at like movie quotes of Halle Berry's, and she doesn't have a lot. And I didn't want to do the
X-Men one.
Yeah, the toad struck by lightning. So.
Oh God.
She had a good one from Swordfish. It was something like.
Look at these.
No, it was like you surprised a lady with an intelligence over 70 can get you hard or something like that. I don't know.
I'm just running through her filmography again, trying to think of anything. Meow, I'm Catwoman.
There you go.
Perfect. It's the perfect episode.
That's far from that.
Okay, we're gone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.